Wednesday, May 3rd, 2023, afternoon edition. This entire video is AI generated daily. Now, this day in history.
1481. The largest of three earthquakes strikes the island of Rhodes and causes an estimated 30,000 casualties. 1616, Treaty of Lodin ends a French Civil War. 1791, the Constitution of May 3rd, the first modern constitution in Europe, is proclaimed by the Sejm of Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. And now on to today's news.
Live Starbucks earnings analysis on Yahoo Finance's after the call, Yahoo Finance. AI summary of this story. I would be happy to help you summarize an article if you provide me with the link or the article itself.
Don't miss peak Venus and Jupiter occultation, SciTech Daily. AI summary of this story. In May 2023, Venus reaches its highest point in the evening sky before it begins to trend lower in June. A full moon occurs on May 5th, and on May 13th, Saturn rises with a third quarter moon prior to sunrise. On May 17th, a slim crescent moon rises before the sun, with Jupiter nearby and observable from some southern U.S. states as it passes behind the moon during morning twilight. The article also highlights differences in the skies of the southern hemisphere compared to the northern hemisphere.
CDC opens probe after 35 test positive for COVID following CDC conference. The Washington Post, AI summary of this story. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, is investigating a coronavirus outbreak tied to its own annual Epidemic Intelligence Service, EIS, conference held last week. Attendees at the Atlanta event are believed to have contracted the virus while not wearing masks and failing to socially distance, despite CDC guidance. With fewer cases reported in the U.S., Jay Varma at Weill Cornell Medicine called the outbreak the new normal and encouraged individuals and organizations to remain vigilant to protect themselves and the most vulnerable.
Man arrested outside Buckingham Palace. BBC. AI summary of this story. During an arrest, a man asked officers to handle his rucksack with care, leading to a controlled explosion on the bag. The suspect was quickly detained and arrested within 5 minutes, according to Mr. Adelican.
Ford first quarter revenue, profits top estimates, EV unit loses $722 million. Yahoo Finance, AI summary of this story. Ford beat Wall Street expectations with revenue of $41.5 billion in Q1 2023, up 20% from last year, and earnings per share of 63 cents versus expectations of 41 cents. It also broke out results for its EV division, which lost over $700 million. Ford's Blue segment generated $25.1 billion in revenues, with a 10.4% EBIT margin, while Model E, which includes EVs, recorded revenues of $700 million, but an EBIT loss of $722 million. The Mustang Mach-E is being relaunched with prices lowered by up to $4,000 in some models. For the full year, Ford expects adjusted EBIT to reach $9 billion to $11 billion with adjusted free cash flow of about $6 billion.
Warriors, keep doing what you're doing. Jalen Rose on how GSW beats the Lakers vertical bar NBA today, ESPN. AI summary of this story. I would need the article to summarize it. Please provide me with the article you want me to summarize.
Democrats hardened their message on the debt ceiling while quietly paving the way for a deal. CNBC. AI summary of this story. President Joe Biden has called for a meeting with top Senate and House leaders, set to take place on May 9th at the White House. The current discussions stem from concerns about whether the U.S. can default on its national debt as early as June 1st. Democrats have accused Republicans of stalling the decision with their demands for federal budget cuts. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has voiced his opposition to the Republican bill that could raise the debt ceiling while cutting federal spending, calling it a measure that would tear at the fabric of American society. President Biden urged the need for bipartisanship and creating opportunities for jobs.
Shemia Fagan resigns as Oregon Secretary of State following cannabis consulting scandal. Oregon Public Broadcasting, AI summary of this story. Oregon Secretary of State Shemia Fagan has resigned from her position amid outcry over her decision to accept a side job as a cannabis consultant while her office audited state regulations on cannabis. Her deputy, Cheryl Myers, will serve in her place until a successor is appointed by Governor Tina Kotek. Fagan canceled her $10K per month contract with the Oregon cannabis chain after revelations emerged, which led to major supporters privately signaling their bewilderment at Fagan's decision and called her behavior into question. Fagan first argued that the consulting position was in line with state ethics rules, but she changed her position after increasing scrutiny and backlash. And now a silly joke or two to lighten the mood after all the heavy stuff.
Did you hear the joke about the wandering nun? She was a Roman Catholic. What do you call a female snake? Miss...
Hope you enjoyed today's artificial intelligence-generated news digest. For more, please subscribe, hit the bell button to activate notifications, and make sure to tune in next time. Stay safe and healthy. Cheers.